Okay, hello and welcome along to another episode of EPLW with myself, Joe. I've got Roz and Mus here with me today, and we thought we'd do an extra show just because of the carnage that was yesterday's matches in the EPL. Roz and Mus, do you want to introduce yourselves and tell us a bit about yourselves and what you're looking forward to talking about? Roz.
Hi, I'm Roz, Millwall season ticket holder, and I'm looking forward to looking into the 9-0 Man United Southampton and whether it was actually as bad as the scoreline suggests, or as good as the scoreline suggests for both teams.
And Mus.
Yeah, evening all. I'm Mus, a Arsenal season ticket holder. Likewise, I'm looking forward to discussing the Man United victory, but also the Leicester game, which is currently finishing up.
Okay, cool. So let's get straight into it. We'll start with last night. And, well, there's nowhere else to really start apart from Man United 9, Southampton 0. So, Roz, you said you were looking forward to getting into that. What do you make of the game? You just said it was maybe not as bad or as good as it possibly seemed. Why is that?
Well, I think there are two bits of context that you need here. The first obvious one was the red card in the second minute. Young kid making his debut, absolute horror challenge on Scott McTominay. Luckily, he's a hard Scotsman, so he sort of was able to complete the game, but it really was a sort of potential career ender, so quite rightly sent off for that. The other bit of context you need, of course, is how many injuries Southampton had going into the game. The two key ones I thought were Vestergaard at the back, and then their right back, Kyle Walker-Peters, who've both been superb this season. So they were missing quite a few key players there, and the red card just flipped the game, or the first red card, I should say, flipped the game on its head. And Man United just didn't stop.
The second red card, when we did our show, our predictions yesterday, you predicted that Bednarek might score for Southampton, which he scored, but he just scored for Man United. And in fantasy football this week, for the own goal, for conceding 9, and getting sent off, he's ended up with -7 on fantasy football this week. So good luck to you if you've got him in your team.
I think you call that a bad day at the office, don't you? I mean, I don't want to take away from Man United, of course. You can only beat what's put in front of you. But I don't think it's the kind of result that will make either team's season, really, in that sense.
Yeah, fair enough. Mus, what did you make of Edinson Cavani's performance? Came off at half-time, I think, didn't he? But he scored 2, set one up. He looked back to his best at the ripe old age of 33.
Yeah. I mean, just before we get to Cavani, I was going to say to Roz's question, or it was your question about what do you call that? So you called that a Bednar wreckage. If you've got him in your team, he's absolutely sunk the whole thing. But no, but Cavani, to be honest, I didn't really think much of the signing when it was announced. I thought it was another indicator of a panic buy of a team in disarray that just kind of take signings because they're available and not because they kind of strategically planned to fill a particular gap in the team. I just thought couldn't get Sancho, so they just took Cavani because he's a big name and he was available. But actually, he's given them something that they've been missing. He has a striker's instinct, which I don't think, I think it's fair to say Martial and Rashford don't quite have that same instinct, that movement in the box. By half time, it was job done. It was interesting to see perhaps maybe either the competition or the appetizing opposition that kind of incentivized Martial to actually kind of, bring his A game, which has been missing the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, and well, ended up putting 9 past Southampton, Man United. And I mean, are they the closest challengers to Man City now, do you think? We're assuming Man City are current favourites. That's to Mus. Sorry, Mus. Yeah.
Is that to me? Right. Okay. By the way, I hope you like the little tribute to the scoreline behind me there. Not to rub it in too much. I think Man United will be there or thereabouts. I still think Liverpool will be the main challengers for Man City. I think they probably have the consistency to stay close to Man City, whereas I think Man United every now and then they'll flatter to deceive, and then they'll come a cropper against I don't know a lower mid-table team
like Sheffield United.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Roz, anything else to add on the Man United performance, the Southampton performance before we move on?
One small little thing I have. I never understand why teams have a game that's sort of open for them, and we saw it in Southampton's last 9-0. I don't think you can say that about many teams. Their last 9-0. But we saw it in the Leicester one. And I think there was an interview with one of the players after the game who was saying that he was aware of the record, which is 9-0 or a 9-goal deficit. I don't understand when you've got a game open for you like that, where you're playing against 9 men that clearly aren't sort of doing a very good job at damage limitation. Why did none of them actually go for double figures? They must all want that record.
It's interesting, isn't it? You'd think they want it, but is there? I mean, is it maybe a mark of respect or something to not go into double figures, or I don't know.
Well, it's interesting. Ralph Hasenhuttl actually said after the game, I was going to say the hardest post-match interview of his life, but probably with the 9-0 last season. He actually said respect to Man United for actually carrying on and just not stopping. I think there's another kind of sportsmanship there where you don't want a team to sort of to hold back on you in a way. I'm sure their goal difference would, but it's almost more of a sign of respect to kind of go, no, we're playing at the top level of football and beat what's in front of us.
Yeah, okay, cool. Well, let's move on then to Wolves 2, Arsenal 1. I, like most other Arsenal fans, was pretty disappointed with that result, having watched the game, and really just a comedy of errors. It's a look back to the Arsenal pre-Arteta almost. But one thing I would say that was going for Arsenal is that they kept the scoreline to 2-1 late on in the game and gave themselves that one chance, which they missed. Mus, what did you make of Arsenal's performance?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the viewers will remember when we talked through the Arsenal Man United game in the last episode on Sunday that we said they were missing their top scorer, their chief chance creator in Saka, and their second highest chance creator in Tierney. They had Saka back for this game, and they look way better off for it. He should have scored in the first minute with that shot that hit the post. Pepe as well, that's definitely a pleasing thing. His performances of late. I mean, any goal, I'm not sure if the first one was a nutmeg, but any mazy dribble that has 2 nutmegs in it and then a classy finish at the end, you've got to rate it. I think that that penalty decision and the sending off just before half time definitely changed the course of the game. So I think that provides some kind of mitigation and maybe some defense of the rest of the performance. So after that, it was always going to be an uphill struggle. And credit to Wolves, they kind of clicked into motion. But at the end of the day, as you say, Joe, it was a penalty and then a cracking long distance strike from outside the box. It's not like they kind of got ripped apart playing with 10 men. So Arsenal can walk away with their heads held high there. Apart from those 2. They must be the stupidest 2 red cards in the history of the EPL, Roz.
It's funny, I watched the game and then I had it on in the background in front of my preferred Millwall game. But I did see the incidents, then went to Twitter and saw lots of clips of the incidents. Now there were kind of talking points. And then watched Match of the Day. And they were kind of vehemently saying it's not a penalty, you can't give a penalty for that. I think it kind of falls under the category of giving the referee a decision to make. The fact is, we are in the modern game where they're going to look at a clip several times over. I think it's incredibly naive from David Luiz. Okay, minimal contact, but he's through and on goal. Rob Holding hasn't helped him out for not kind of smelling the danger his starting position is off, why you would then run onto the heels of the player and get right behind them, you've got to play percentages there, I think. You either kind of go around one of the other sides to them, so you're not giving the referee that decision to make if they do go down. You've also got the likelihood that I think Leno would have actually saved it.
Do you reckon? Well,
I think he was smothering it well. He was coming in on it. Either way, it's still better if he does score it and you've still got 11 men on the pitch. Arsenal were so dominant.
Yeah.
You know, we pointed earlier to how many goals Saka would have got 3. He could have been on a hat-trick going in at half-time. Incredibly dominant. And why you would, you know, exchange a penalty for a goal where you're definitely going to get sent off. If I were an Arsenal fan, I would be fuming.
Well, I was fuming last night, as you were the brunt of a lot of messages for me being angry about David Luiz. And then by the time Leno got sent off, I'd given up, to be honest with you. But yeah, 2-1 Wolves, it finished. Wolves, I guess, worthy winners, but Arsenal can leave that one with their heads held high for staying in the game. Also, last night, Sheffield United beat West Brom 2-1. What did you make of that game, Roz?
Huge result is what it is being billed as. I don't think it necessarily is, because I think both sides have left it too late. I don't think Sheffield United have a hope to stay up, and all they really did there was kind of drag West Brom down with them.
You watch a lot of Roz. You watch a lot of Championship football, don't you? Did it look like a Championship game to you?
Yeah, there were elements of it. I mean, what we're kind of seeing actually now you touched on the Championship is this huge gulf. I mean, Millwall were playing Norwich at home last night, and Norwich were the first team relegated last year after a season where they just dominated the Championship and went straight up. This season, they're dominating the Championship and are almost definitely going up. And we're just seeing this kind of huge gulf. I think Sheffield United and Fulham and West Brom, Sheffield United being the only one that wasn't promoted last season, will go straight back down again. But there are elements of that. It's always nice to see a local boy who supports the club get a winner, isn't it?
Yeah.
One thing I will point to is Billy Sharp getting the winner. Real striker's instinct there. I don't think it's the kind of result that will have a huge impact on the season, because I just think Sheffield United are going down anyway.
Wow. Okay. Strong words there from Roz. Mus, I'm going to ask you about Newcastle Crystal Palace. It looked as if Newcastle, after last week doing Everton, it looked as if they had brought the good times up top. But they faltered. They lost 2-1 at home to Crystal Palace.
Yeah, and I've got a bit of a confession to make. With the Man United game, 4-0 at half-time, I thought, well, that's well and truly over. Let me kind of switch over to the Newcastle game for the second half. Live to regret that. But I had Callum Wilson in my fantasy football team, so I wanted to kind of keep tabs on him. Yeah, they were just out of ideas again. They were back to their old selves. But it's the kind of the difference between a well-coached side in Crystal Palace, clearly better coached, patterns of play, solid defensively. Even when Zaha went off, you still felt confident that they would hold on to the win. Whereas Newcastle just feel like a group of players that just have been put together and asked to kind of go out and play.
They have. They look like the good times could be coming back there. I mean, they've got quite a nice looking front three now. So I think they're still damaging enough to stay up, which is obviously what Mike Ashley and Steve Bruce are aiming at. But with kind of Ryan Fraser and Saint-Maximin on either side, and then Wilson up top, he's in good form. They have what it takes to stay in the division. But can you see them finishing any higher than, say, 11th or 12th?
No. I think Roz is right. The Sheffield United, West Brom and Fulham will go down. Newcastle are just lucky that they're the least awful of the other sides. I doubt they'll get anywhere near. Yeah, they won't finish above 15th. I'd be surprised.
Okay, so that concludes last night's games. On to tonight's games so far. I'll just let you know that Everton are 1-0 up at Leeds, half an hour in. Gylfi Sigurdsson scored that one on the 9th minute, assisted by Luca Dean, which is, I believe, how you pronounce his name, not Lucas Digne, as some people might call it. Jack Harrison yellow carded in the 16th minute for a foul there as well. But earlier on today, Man City beat Burnley 2-0 at Turf Moor, and Leicester City went to Craven Cottage and put in a solid performance, won 2-0 there. Roz, you were watching the Man City Burnley game, or Burnley Man City game. Can you just give us a little summation of what happened and how you saw it?
Yeah, sure. It was one of those games where I don't think it will. They're not the kind of games that Burnley are expecting to get anything out of. It's kind of patronising to say they did their best, but they really did. And I think that we always know that Burnley are going to be compact. They're going to be very well organised. They're going to get their lines really well. We also know that Pep Guardiola throughout his career has been playing against sides that are very compact and will put all these men behind the ball. And he's completed it, mate. How to beat his teams, which is in the first half in particular, you had Raheem Sterling and we had Mahrez just basically on the touchline. The old phrase, chalk on their boots. We saw him do it right from the beginning at Barcelona in the early days with Pedro, and with later on the likes of Arsenal legend Alexis Sanchez. But Sterling was sensational, as was Mahrez. They were
Roz, there's
out wide.
Some guy called Messi as well.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, never mind.
No. You know. But what that did is it actually kind of stretched Burnley. As soon as they kind of switched on to that, they had the wingers kind of dropping deep, trying to cover those men, and the back four kind of compressing. So it kind of became a back six. Against both sides, it's going to work. I reckon they would have given any other side in the division a game with that tactic. But Man City, the depth of the squad, the quality of the movement, the passing, everything was absolutely sensational. Raheem Sterling, best game I've seen him have in a very long time. He was everywhere. Again, starting out wide, but then just making these darting runs that they couldn't cope with. Cancelo, again, all of the analysis websites I was finding were saying that he was starting as right back. I kind of saw him more as a back three, and he was sort of cutting inside, as we've seen him do as that right-sided holding midfielder. Just far too much quality for them. And as Mus told us before the show, he pointed out this is actually the Vatican derby, in that it was Gabriel Jesus going up against Nick Pope, who made a gaping error the first goal, I will say. Sort of parodied right out to Jesus, but just far too much quality for Sean Blake and the boys on the day.
Yeah. Man City seem to have that ability to change systems within a game as well, so quickly and so effectively. And I mean, they have to be the front runners. Mus, you were watching Fulham Leicester. Tell us about it.
Yeah, sure. I thought Roz was going to say Nick Pope made a cardinal sin for the first goal. Never mind, maybe next time. I was watching the...
And Jesus crucified him for it.
Basically, that was nailed on. So the Leicester, if viewers haven't had a chance to watch the game yet, it was a pretty straightforward win. The first goal from Leicester on the 16th, 17th minute. A great ball across from Jamie Vardy, headed in by Kelechi Iheanacho.
Jamie Vardy? What, did he cross it in from the bench?
Sorry, James Maddison. James Maddison crossed it in, and Iheanacho headed it in. And then the second goal from James Justin, again, James Maddison heavily involved there and getting the assist. I want to give credit to Brendan Rodgers because he clearly saw that after the Leeds game when they lost at home, things weren't working. He changed the system, brought in Iheanacho as a focal point up front, moved to a 4-2-3-1 formation, moved Jose Perez out wide, playing behind Iheanacho as the striker, and that was hugely effective. So that was first thing, kudos to Rodgers, brilliant manager. And the second thing to observe is the great squad depth that Leicester showed in this game. So Fofana was injured. They brought in Suyuncu, who was, I think, their player of the season last year.
Yeah.
Brought in Hamza Chowdhury to fill in midfield, I think, instead of Mendy. And you couldn't tell that they were missing key players. So that's really impressive. And the last point I'd make is James Maddison just controlled the game from start to finish, and he is a great player and should be nailed on, him and Grealish, I think, for the starting 11 for England in the summer.
Okay. I was just going to actually, you've kind of preceded what I was going to say there. You've predicted what I was going to say about Maddison. And obviously we've mentioned this before, haven't we, Roz, talking about Maddison versus Grealish and who gets on the plane and who gets in the first 11 for Southgate and England. You look like you were about to say something there, so I'll just hand over to you. I don't know what it is, so I'll just hand over.
Well, no, on that point, I was going to say that I totally eat my words. I can only blame it on the fact that he was out injured for a while, and I forgot how good a player he was. It's almost like as soon as I said that I thought he was amazing, but probably Southgate would want different types of players in his squad, and it would be one or the other. He's in the form of his life, and he is a very different player to Jack Grealish. He's a very different player to the likes of Mason Mount, and I think he's got to get on that plane.
Is there an argument with Grealish and Mount can play wide as well, right? But Maddison's better centrally. Could you actually fit all three of those into an England team? I'll go to Mus actually first. Could you fit Mount, Grealish, and Maddison in an England team together?
Probably not playing the current formation and shape that Southgate has been playing. It's almost just reminiscent of the Gerrard, Lampard, Scholes era, where you've got these three hugely talented players. But I think in international football in this day and age has to be system first, and then you fit the players into that system. So I think at most two of the three can play. And I think Southgate probably prefers Henderson in that holding role, so I'm not sure Mason Mount would get that.
Okay.
He would get started in that place.
Roz, you can factor in your answer to that question into this question. I'm going to put you both on the spot here, Roz especially, because I'm coming to you first. Currently, who is your England starting 11? I know it's a bit off topic. This is EPLW. EPLW pod on Twitter, by the way. I haven't mentioned the Twitter. Roz is going to kill me. EPL pod at EPL pod on Twitter. Follow it. Also, subscribe to this channel and hit the notifications button so you never miss a stream. Roz, I bought you a bit of time there to come up with your England 11. I hope it's been enough. Talk us through your England 11. Go on.
I was going to disagree with Mus, actually. I think you definitely can put them all in, particularly with the way that Mason Mount this season has kind of developed into more of that sort of number 8 than rather than a number 10. So, you could have Mason Mount in the 10, Mason Mount in the 8, James Maddison in the 10, and Jack Grealish coming in just from that left-hand side. I think you can. I wouldn't want to, which brings you on to my... you know what, I'm going to miss someone out because you put me on the spot. Going to make a blind error, but let's go for it. Let's go for Nick Pope in goal. Despite tonight, I don't think you can have Jordan Pickford there. I think he will cost you crucial moments and games. Trent Alexander-Arnold, John Stones. It's whether you go through Southgate to pick who I would pick. I wouldn't put James Maddison there. I would go for someone like Tyrone Mings. I'd say John Stones, Tyrone Mings in their current form. Ben Chilwell on the left. I think we've got to play a 4-3-3 with the amount of talent that we have in our squad. I think back five is wasted. So I would go for Jordan Henderson, Jack Grealish, and probably Mason Mount. But I would have
No Maddison.
the likes of Maddison, the likes of Declan Rice, the likes of Harry Winks, who actually have to go for something.
I don't care about the
different.
bench. I want your starting
On
11.
the bench,
No bench.
I'm going to go for Jadon Sancho. I'm going to go for Harry Kane, and I'm going to go for depending on form, Sterling or Rashford.
Okay.
Depending on what form they're in going into the tournament.
Mus, have you got anything to come back to there on Roz's 11? So he went Pope in goal. I'm going to try and remember the team. He went Pope in goal, a back four of Alexander-Arnold, John Stones, Tyrone Mings, and Ben Chilwell, a midfield three of Henderson, Mount, and Grealish, and up front he went with Sancho and Sterling either side of Harry Kane. What do you make of that, Mus?
Well, so yeah, I think it's really interesting that Harry Maguire didn't enter into the conversation at all. But I think, yeah, it comes down to Roz's point about is this the team that Southgate will go for, or the team that probably should start? Southgate has this thing about kind of rewarding loyalty, and he seems to be really loyal towards the set of players that he's taken to major tournaments before. So I think that means Pickford starts in goal. I think it means Harry Kane starts up front, and Sancho and Sterling with him. Henderson in the middle, probably nailed on unless anything major changes there. I mean, we've not even talked about Foden, and he's probably kind of closer to the squad than some of these other midfielders. So yeah, near enough same starting lineup. Although I think maybe Chilwell potentially. Depending if he gets game time or not, may lose his place, depending on how that goes at Chelsea.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Roz, did you want to come back to Mus on that at all?
No, I was just going to say I did forget about Phil Foden. I told you I'd forget someone. Someone else I forgot was Saka, my favourite player at the moment, it seems. Love him. If he can keep up the way that he's playing, I think he'll play his way into definitely being in the squad and potentially starting. Again, you never know how other players' game time and form is going to dip. So he's another one conversation to be had.
Okay. Well, that kind of wraps it up for tonight, lads. It was nice to do an extra little show because of last night's action. Thank you for joining me, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow night. And there'll be even more action to discuss, and we'll look forward to Spurs against Chelsea as well, which I can't wait to rib Matt a bit about that. Matt, our resident Chelsea fan, who's missing in action tonight. So goodbye, Roz.
Yeah, mate.
And goodbye, Mus.
Cheers, guys. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.